will be nothing else. And we want to keep this information as much available to the public as possible without it being filtered through some government agency. So, yes, you can either contact MUFON on the online site or contact me directly.
Yeah, I'd like to also say that we're on Facebook too. Just type in MUFON Washington or Mutual UFO Network, Washington Mutual UFO Network, to get in touch with Maureen that way. I know a lot of people are on Facebook these days, and so we try to reach people where they are and try to, you have to take it to their platform to give your message to them. And basically what our message is activity is increasing. I'm looking at some statistics right now that you get emailed every month by being a MUFON member. October 2018, so last month, saw 750 UFO sightings from around the world. And it breaks it down by countries here. And, top 3 countries are the United States with 515 reported cases just last month alone, and UK next with 51, and Canada with 49. So if we have any international listeners, we would encourage you to look for local chapters, if you see something, say something, report it. Don't be afraid to say something, because it's more accepted nowadays than it ever has been. And the only way we're going to come to the bottom of this is if we all kind of join up, and that's why I decided to get involved, is to network with people that that'll help give the truth and bring the truth out. And I couldn't, when you said synchronicity earlier with the producer and the writers of the Maury Island incident at the show, that reminded me of another synchronicity that we had not too long ago. Maureen and I think Michael too, when we were all in attendance of Susie Hansen's talk in Port Townsend, where it all seems like the right place at the right time when it comes to UFO stuff. And for me, that was confirmed by this whole premiere that we were invited to, because we're doing this from a genuine perspective of curiosity and passion and wanting to help people. And it's almost like Susie said, where they're and other witnesses we've interviewed, where they're getting messages from beings or other people that they're trying to help us. And so by bringing us all together like this, it's almost like, I don't know, it has a higher purpose or a calling or a reason. And I don't know, there's a reason why we've all come together. We've all been working with each other. And I believe that there's a higher purpose for all this. Yeah. And Maureen, you've said that people report seeing sightings that they feel were meant just for them. Like they have like a one-on-one with the sighting. Mm-hmm. And so there could be some kind of higher message behind all this. And, that happened to me one time where I saw a sighting. I was with friends. I saw a craft literally appear and disappear. It didn't shoot sideways or left. It materialized and dematerialized, a shiny object over Denver, Colorado. And we were in a car with 3 people. And, I pointed it out. And, in the split second that I said something, it was gone. And then 10 seconds later, when everyone was looking and nothing was there, and I looked again and it appeared, and then gone. So it's like, are these personal messages trying to get people to look up and to kind of open their mind, or are they trying to reach people to really prepare for something, like you're saying, Michael? Is something coming down the line that they are preparing us for, or I don't know. I'm seeing some things and some synchronicities, and it's all related. All the paranormal stuff is related. Bigfoot, Sasquatch. We had a gentleman that was at the Sasquatch convention happening now in Ocean Shores, Washington. Washington's the paranormal place to be, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that.
Zach, your sighting report that you just mentioned about, you being the only one to see this thing, reminds me of just this last August when the UFO I-Team was at the ECETI Ranch. That's ECETI Ranch down at Mount Adams in south central Washington State, where we saw this immensely bright globe of white light coming across the night sky at probably around 2,000 foot elevation, so it was quite low. And when it came right in front of us, it actually flashed us. It's almost as if there was some kind of a laser light coming out of the craft and coming right at our gear and equipment, which we have it on tape. So it was just not like, us just making it up. Matter of fact, the people in the Skywatch field that were at a different angle from us, not too far away, literally said that there was a blue laser light coming out of this white light coming to our direction. So you never know if there is some kind of a download of information that kind of gets sent to certain folks and maybe not to some other folks. But Maurene, that brings up your whole idea that you've been on, the MUFON emergency, what do they call that? The experiencer team. Tell us about that.
Well, MUFON has two arms. It has one arm which is UFO case investigations. Folks, the public, submit a report for a sighting, and every sighting report is investigated by a certified field investigator. And believe me, it's a rigorous certification process, as Zach will attest to. So we both investigate every case to try to discern what was it. Was it something natural like Venus? Was it a falling star?
A drone?
A planet? Or is it something man-made like the ISS or space debris or any, a misidentified plane? But MUFON also has, and this is something relatively new, what they call the Experiencer Research Team, where the public can also get on the MUFON online site and download an Experiencer questionnaire, submit it to the Experiencer Research Team, ERT as we call it, and it's then assigned to somebody, one of the researchers on the team. And I am on the Experiencer Research Team, and we have one other person in Washington State that's on. There's like 12 people in the world. We've got 2 of them here in Washington State. But I consider that that's where it's at. MUFON in the past, 40 years, has received something like 100,000 sighting reports, and I don't think we know a whole lot from them. I think what we're going to learn will come from the experiencers, those who have had missing time, possible abductions, visitations, downloads. I mean, just a whole range of different phenomena. And I also believe this is what the government is really interested in, too, because I think this is, it's one thing to reverse engineer their super technology. It's something else to discern how do you operate it. Particularly if it turns out it is operated through one's consciousness. So, yes, the Experiencer Research Team is, I believe, the most important part of MUFON.
So in other words, when MUFON gets a report from a witness that has a little bit more meat to it other than just a light in the sky, they will have a person like yourself on the Experiencer Research Team that people can actually call and get into a conversation with?
Yes. So when some people will go directly to the MUFON online site and submit a questionnaire without ever submitting a sighting report. Because, if your experience is, entities coming into your bedroom, it's not like seeing a UFO in the yard. But there's also cases where, all the cases that are reported in Washington State come to me, and then I assign them to field investigators. So I have a look at these cases before they ever go out. If there's anything about the case that suggests that they are experiencers, I assign it either to myself or to the other person in Washington who's on the Experiencer Research Team, because most field investigators simply aren't trained to work with these people, and this is very, it's very sensitive information. Yeah, so we can get them both ways. I can get cases assigned to me from the experiencer research team, or we can have cases submitted to Washington State that may have some kind of a sighting in it, and then in the process of talking to them, you figure out that, there's much more to the story than this one sighting event. So, yeah, all the field investigators in Washington State are instructed, if you get a hint that these people have a story beyond just seeing lights in the sky, send it to me, so that somebody knowledgeable can then follow up on it.
Well, and that's very fascinating that MUFON actually has an experiencer research team. And I'll tell you why, because just in October, I was able to go to the Caribou Paracon up there in BC, Canada, and got to spend a lot more time than we planned, Grant Cameron and I together, because of the snowstorm that just closed everything down. We couldn't even get him to the airport. But he was mentioning that what Kit Green and some of the ex-CIA guys that are working on the whole idea of maybe disclosure, but the whole idea of studying UFOs and their effects on humans, what they are doing is they're studying experiencers' brain waves at this point, because they believe that experiencers have some kind of an effect, like we were mentioning, these metamaterials affecting human physiology, sometime an effect on humans, either enhancing or tweaking their brain patterns. And so that's going to be interesting when they come out with that study.
Yeah, that reminds me of like the Marvel movies that are popular now with people with powers and telepathy, in the paranormal field. We study more than just UFOs and Bigfoot. We study extrasensory perception, telepathy. I've had cases where people have been able to move items with their minds, and it seems like maybe that would tie in with some of the craft I've heard about, that these advanced craft that are made from metamaterials that are actually flown with the mind and not with the traditional controller. Have you heard about that at all, Maureen or Michael?
Absolutely.
Wasn't that what Susie was talking about at your conference, Maureen?
That's right. Susie Hansen is a New Zealand experiencer author. She's world-renowned. So for us to have her come to Little Port Townsend, it's a town on the Olympic Peninsula with less than 10,000 people. We had a venue that held 100 people, and it was crammed. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised the other day when I had lunch with somebody I know who attended and who has a long history in aviation. He says, "You may not know it, but you had some heavy hitters there." He says he knew of 2 astrophysicists who were in the audience alone. And they probably came for the section on her talk about alien technology. But you have to think, well, my goodness, there are some scientists out there who are opening up and, stepping out of the box. So, yes, it's, her talk was fascinating. And also, many of her talks are available on YouTube. So if you bring up Suzy, S-U-Z-Y, Hansen, Hansen, on YouTube, there are a number of her different lectures which are there available for your viewing.
Maureen, I'm not quite sure that it's not S-O-N, Hansen. But anyway.
It is S-E-N.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad you clarified that, because I was, but of course, either way, you're going to find her out there. She's very famous, a very eloquent speaker. By the way, her husband did a phenomenal job. He's an artist in depicting the scenes that she was describing during her entire lifetime of being contacted by aliens, basically, and being told about what we need to do to elevate our consciousness here on the planet. That's kind of seems to be the message out there. That
the underlying message, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that we need to all get together, not just as countries any longer, but people on the planet, to determine whether we are going to or not going to enter the probably the galactic organization out there that has probably been visiting us for many, many eons throughout